Abortions up until 20 weeks, taxpayer funded, is a bipartisan issue. Well, you might have a justice who disagrees. Oh my God, this is Auschwitz! So before we move on to it, this is my question today. Do you really think at this point that it's both sides polarizing equally? Is that just a cop-out? I contend it really pretty much exists exclusively on the left. The calls to violent action on a massive scale. Antifa, I really think it's a cop-out when they talk about how polarized we are as a country and act as though both sides contribute to it equally. I don't agree with it. Comment. I'd like to see what you have to say. So Justice Kennedy retiring. And so that means that President Trump is going to lock down a conservative Supreme Court majority. So here's the thing. In the past weeks, we've talked about this kind of polarization. You and I have disagreed a bit on this. Big chasm between the left and the right. The right accomplishes their wins through freedom, by the way, or proper political channels, as you see in the Constitution. The left, they've kind of danced with them for a while. They've embraced outright harassment and violence that they previously just flirted with. You've all seen the Maxine Waters, who basically endorsed harassing the political opposition. Let's see the clip in case.
We want it done now. We're going to insist on it. If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet. And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere.
Let your idea speak for yourself.
A black lady making sure to inform people, what I want you to do is get a mob. I want you to tell them they ain't welcome. Then get the German Shepherds and the fire hose.
Just in case.
That's plan A.
We don't serve pie to your type at this diner top. By the way, hit the notification bell in case you haven't on YouTube, because subscriptions don't mean a whole lot, or the bookmark, because notifications are going away. So here are the Supreme Court rulings that are having the left lose their complete minds. The big one on labor unions. Today, the Supreme Court ruled
Praise God.
in favor of a public sector employee who refused to join a public union. So basically all this says is you can't mandate union dues for federal employees.
Yeah, they were taking it out as a kind of a fair pay deal. So if they got a contract for you, they're saying this is an administrative fee, and we know money's fungible, and say they're just using it to support their leftist ideology anyway.
Well,
and they're saying, I don't want to do that.
Well, and the left, this is a giant blow for workers' choice. What? For a worker to choose?
They are choosing to not.
They are choosing to not join. They didn't choose.
It's a deserved blow to terrible unions. Goodbye.
Here's the thing. People can join the union.
Yeah.
Originally, it wasn't mandatory. People joined because they wanted to. Now there are so many people who do not want to be a part of the union that they take this to the Supreme Court because they don't want to pay their dues. And unions want to not only force them to pay dues, but then also force them to publicly reveal their voting with card check. So this is a big win for choice.
You don't know what you want. The unions know what you want. They know best.
Yeah. If you're on the other side of this one, go to a different country.
And then crisis pregnancy centers. Yesterday, the Supreme Court ruled against a law that forced pro-life pregnancy centers to advertise abortions, or to advertise other people who provided abortion services. And then, of course, there was a Supreme Court upheld Donald Trump's travel ban. So these are big wins for choice, for freedom. Unions can't force you to give to an organization that would send money straight to Democrats. By the way, labor union, we've talked about this. You look at the top political donors of all time. The Koch brothers. Look at the unions. It's not even close. You want to talk about who pulls strings? Just run a quick search, top political donors of all time.
Right.
And the left considers these failures.
Yeah.
The pro-choice left, unless it's choosing not to join a union. Pro-choice, unless it's choosing to run a pro-life organization. They hate choice, particularly when it comes to speech, and we'll get to that in 1 second.
I think they just need to be honest about it. They don't like what this country is founded upon. They want something completely different, and that's fine. Just go do it somewhere else. I don't want you here doing it here and saying that you love America the way I love America, because you're not being honest.
No, you're not being honest about it. And Sven Computer, didn't you have you had a point there from the New York Times?
Yeah, so the New York Times came out and they had an opinion piece and they tweeted it out, beep, beep, and said that, you can see right here that the 5-4 majority and that the Supreme Court is invoking legal rules, and that is pretty much discriminatory, which is amazing to say, how dare a court invoke legal rules.
The nerve. Yeah, they invoke legal rules.
Like the other.
And you get this. Yeah, that's pretty much what happened.
My soul.
That's not what the courts are for. So, this is a big difference when you look at the mob rule from the left. So, right after the school shooting, right? By the way, it's going to be a whole lot harder now with the courts if you want to pass some kind of gun control. Look behind you. That was your best chance. So, Parkland, what do? They trot out kids on CNN to chew out Dana Lash and the NRA. What do? We win elections. And here's the thing: the Antifa tactics, they never really went away, but now they're just so open about it in the mainstream.
It's hard to distinguish.
It's no longer masked activists harassing, Elaine Chao. It's just a group of teenagers who just have been inspired by Maxine Waters, I guess.
Why are you separating families? Huh? Why are you separating families?
There you go. Why is separating families? Why is separating families?
Why are you separating families?
Why did you leave my husband alone?
I'm not trying to disrespect you, but why is he separating
Back
families?
up, not.
I'm not trying to
Back up.
disrespect
Back
you.
up.
I'm not trying to
He's
disrespect you.
back up.
He's separating families. He's separating forces.
You leave back
No.
up.
How does he sleep at night? How does he sleep at night? It is not a legal assignment. How does he sleep at night? It is not a legal assignment.
Wow.
That's
I don't know.
toxic masculinity at work. People.
Probably sleeps at night with his kids in his house because they didn't come here illegally.
Oh.
Here's the thing. You call someone a Nazi, that's what they did, and they realized it didn't work because people become desensitized. They say it's similar to Auschwitz, so now what do they do? Why are you separating children? These are attacks that you see. When you dehumanize your opposition, it's okay. It's okay to threaten to firebomb their van. It's okay to threaten to slash their tires. And you see these Antifa-style tactics, by the way, outside of the Antifa organization, which handed Not Gay Jared a knife, personally, to stab conservative protesters. That's here on the channel. You see with Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the restaurant debacle. This is a cultural censorship. It's a cultural Marxism where they want to intimidate, harass, and violate your actual rights. Not imaginary rights, like healthcare being a human right. No, it's not. But my right to not be physically assaulted in the real world. That's not a safe space. That's not a snowflake. That's not a trigger. I don't want to be shot with a 45. I think that's reasonable. They tried to reappropriate triggering. Remember, like, we're
so
conservative.
hard.
What are you triggered?
Are you a
No, I just
snowflake?
don't want to be firebombed.
This is what happens when you don't take your meds.
So they
much to ask,
They
really.
see this as entirely, along with calling for the complete abolishment of ICE. That's their pivot.
I think we've come to a moment where we need to call for the abolishment of ICE. I think ICE should be abolished.
In order for us to feel safer in our streets, our churches, our schools, and our homes, we must abolish ICE. This is the legislation that we need,
That's the first step.
and this is the legislation that is going to move us forward as a country.
Abolishing ICE should be a bipartisan issue. It's textbook government waste. We spend more than $6 billion a year on this bloated, unaccountable, cruel department.
I just love that when they say it should be about abolishing any sort of border security should be agreed upon across the board. They did that with everything. Forcing Hobby Lobby to provide 4 more forms of birth control in addition to the 16 they already privately provide, but they don't provide for because they think they're Republicans. That should be a common issue. We should be forcing private companies to provide all of the birth control to all the people. This should have bipartisan support. No, you crazy absolute witch. It shouldn't be. And this is, by the way, another reason for the Crowder Confront series that we do. These attacks are so mainstream. It's not just fringe, and it's going to get a lot worse now that Justice Kennedy is stepping down. That's what we have more of these Crowder Confronts. This is one thing we were talking about. This with the Crowder Confronts that we did. We went in there. Girl threatening to firebomb. By the way, works at UT. Here's the crazy thing when you talk about this, and they're going to say, "Oh, I'm not trying to dox anybody here," but someone saying, "Hey, here's their location. Here's a picture. Take care of this with a bomb and our van," and then doubling down, take care of it. Someone plotting to hurt people in my crew. People plotting to shoot us. People plotting to slash tires. Whatever it is, take your pick on that given day. Right? Molotov cocktail. This has been happening with us for a while. How many people do you think that this, or Charles Hermes, who spread the fake Nazi memes, how many kids do you think got denied at the UT registrars because this broad had an opinion?
Yeah.
Lots.
It's not just about shouting down someone on the street, but here's the thing. They literally think you're separating children, that you hate children and you hate parents. They literally, whether they think it or not, they've just convinced themselves, or at some point, someone's getting convinced that I'm a Nazi. And Ben Shapiro, with the yarmulke on, is a Nazi. These people are getting convinced. And what do you do? If you saw a Nazi today, right? If you saw a Nazi today out there who was actively rounding up Jews and gassing them, you'd probably do something if you're a decent human being. But that's what they say we are. And so, what does it get him? It makes it completely morally justifiable. And that's why we're at the point here with the left. I've never wished violence on anyone on the left, and I wouldn't today. Even these people who've issued these threats. I don't think anyone on the right should go out and violently accost the left. No. I don't want you to. Only in self-defense. Let me make it really clear. Self-defense would mean if they physically attack you first to protect yourself or your family. That is all I am saying. Okay, I'm not calling acts of violence. But you do need to start confronting these people, because we are at the point when I noticed with the left, we were there, not a single person condemned it. I genuinely thought we were one step away from, if the cops had come in, grabbed us and said, we're going to take them out to the firing squad, anyone have any objections? They would have cheered because humana Nazi.
And if it weren't for the security and the cops that were there, I think it would have been a much worse scenario. I think they probably would have been much more unhinged than they were.
Yeah,
well, I think you're peeling it back too. Like you and I have had not arguments, but we've had discussions about this. And I'm thinking, we need to try to find some common ground. And you're like, you ask me some very simple questions. Do you believe this? Do you believe that? Do you believe this? Yes, I do. Well, they don't.
No, they don't.
That's the thing. And their ideas have stopped working. And when you get to the end of your ideas, the only thing you have left is violence and intimidation tactics. And that's exactly where they are. They should be able to see that. That's what they're accusing us of in a lot of these cases.
Look at the crazy outrage over the fact that Kennedy's retiring.
Yeah.
Nothing's even happened yet. They're saying it's the end of America. And by the way, the end of America to them...
Oh, God, they can enforce the law now.
Abortions up until 20 weeks, taxpayer funded, is a bipartisan issue. Well, you might have a justice who disagrees. Oh, my God, this is Auschwitz all over again.
Are they going to invoke the legal rules, beep beep?
Are they going to invoke, what is this, oh, you're one of those legal courts.
You're going to use the law, huh?
I really am, and this is why I think it's disingenuous. You have some people like, let's find common ground. Listen, we do the Change My Mind segment. And a lot of these, by the way, Crowder Confronts, stem from people trying to harm us while doing Change My Mind. So when we sit and we say, anyone can have a conversation. All right, listen, hey, Kennedy won. I'm going to laugh. I think it's great. I think it's fantastic. The right is winning so much it's sore. I need to get a bomb because of all the winning. It burns. But you're able to sit down and have a conversation. When you decide that you are going to threaten us, when you are going to stifle the conversation through acts of violence, that's where Crowder Confronts comes up. And that's what I think is happening with the right. They are saying, all right, listen, we have tried to actually have a conversation, not common ground, but a conversation. Right. You can have a conversation and not have any common ground. Right. Because truth is the truth. I tend to believe the truth lines up on the right, right? That's my belief. I don't believe that the truth is centrist. I don't believe that taking another life is the right thing to do. I believe that it's immoral. I believe it's a lie to say that it's not a life. I don't believe that it's okay to declare anything you want to be a human right. I don't believe that it's okay to commit violence against political opposition just because of a different opinion. These are things that line up on the left. I think that's wrong. The truth is those things are wrong.
Very, very, very,
they're very, very bad. But this is how bad it's getting out there. And I think it's time for people to stop being disingenuous, claiming that both sides are at fault. No, they're not. And here's the thing. They try to point to some right wing. They go, well, what about the Nazis or the tiki torches? First off, they were National Socialists. Yeah. You ever actually watch their speeches? Yeah. Their speeches are, we can make socialism work if it weren't for blacks and browns. They don't want liberty. They don't want the constitutional conservatism. They want socialism that they would see in Norway for only white people. These people are not right-wing, okay? And you certainly can't find any mass organizations on the right. You can look at the statistics. The leftist organizations and gatherings, whether it's Occupy Wall Street, whether it's the women's marches, whether it's Antifa, or just going back to Woodstock where people are getting raped and looting ATMs, okay?
Nazis are just socialists plus racism.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Just add racism, like the expanding dinosaur. You come back and you're like, wow, that's a concentration camp? Wow, I didn't know that was coming from Marx.
That's 4 stars on Yelp.
It just took an angry little man. No more common ground, just finding truth. And the left is acting out. And I do think, final point, I think Donald Trump is becoming more conservative. We've talked about this. I don't think he was conservative when he ran for president. We talked because he was registered as a Democrat. I think he was much more of a centrist. And I think he's going through the same process as people are watching it. I think what's happened is he went in as a centrist, and the left has forced him to loathe them. I don't think Donald Trump was ready to be called a Nazi. I don't think he was aware that they were going to call him a racist. I don't think he was aware they were going to go after his kids, his family. I don't think he was aware of that. And so people watching this, you're seeing people on YouTube, you're seeing people online, you're seeing people just sort of in the culture, in the zeitgeist, as the term is used, becoming more conservative, being red-pilled. I think that's happening before our very eyes with Donald Trump. I think he's going, okay, all right, you're going to call me a Nazi, screw you, and he's just doubling down. And I think it's great. Gosh, the winning, it's starting to hurt. I mean, it's getting to the point of being a nuisance. If you like this video, subscribe, watch one of these other videos, or hit the notification bell. Well, you should hit that if you subscribe anyways, because subscriptions don't mean anything on YouTube anymore. Now you have to hit notifications so that it shows up in your inbox. So I don't know why you subscribe in the first place, but that's what you have to do. Also, we're not making money off these videos anymore because YouTube decided why. They just said we're not going to. And when we said why, they didn't tell us why exactly. Imagine if you showed up to your job, you did all your work, and then they said, hey, by the way, we're not going to pay you. You said why? They said, piss off!